What the mind of man can imagine and truly believe, it can bring into reality. Reflect on that statement for a moment, because if it holds true, then the only real barrier standing between you and what you desire is none other than yourself. But if it turns out to be false, then perhaps you are living comfortably trapped inside an illusion, blaming the world for your disappointments. So I ask you, which version of yourself will win today? Stay with me until the very end, because today I will show you that the key to your success is already in your hands, and only you can choose to turn it. Have you ever found yourself looking at someone else's life and wondering, why haven't I achieved that yet? What do these people have that I don't? Maybe you even felt that heavy feeling in your chest, watching someone reach the very success you dream about, traveling to the places you've always longed to see, buying the home you've always pictured in your mind, or living a life that seems so effortless and fulfilled while yours feels stuck in place. And when that happens, your mind begins to craft a harsh narrative, as if something is wrong with you, as if fate itself has decided that only others deserve to succeed. The truth no one tells you is that the single biggest reason most people never arrive where they want is because they never truly decided where they want to go. And without a clear destination, there can be no real progress, only disappointment. Napoleon Hill discovered this when he interviewed the most successful men of his time. Every single one of them shared two things: a clearly defined purpose and an unshakable belief that they would achieve it, no matter how long it took, no matter the circumstances, and no matter what anyone else thought. And that wasn't arrogance, it was clarity. It's like trying to cross an entire ocean without a map or a compass. You might still sail, but the winds and currents will carry you anywhere they please. Hill said that a person without clarity becomes a prisoner of other people's desires, a victim of their own fears, and a slave to outside opinions. Now think carefully. Do you know exactly what you want out of life? I'm not talking about vague wishes like making more money or being happy. I mean real details. How much money, doing what kind of work, living where, what kind of daily life? Most people never stop to answer these questions, and when you don't know the destination, any road seems acceptable. But that lack of definition is exactly what leaves you feeling lost, distracted, delaying important decisions, and worst of all, comparing yourself to others. Because when you don't have clarity on your own path, you can't help but watch everyone else's journey. Andrew Carnegie, who became one of the wealthiest men in history, started his life in a tiny one-room cabin in Scotland. As a poor immigrant in the United States, he had no money, no influential connections, and no formal education. So what did he have? A desire so intense and so precisely imagined that nothing could extinguish it. He wrote down his goal, pictured his future life, and worked toward it every single day. It didn't matter how successful others were. It didn't matter how many doors were slammed in his face. Carnegie knew exactly where he wanted to go. And it's that certainty that sets apart ordinary people from those who build empires. There's a fascinating study conducted by the Dominican University of California that followed people who had set clear goals and those who hadn't over the course of 12 months. The research found that individuals who wrote down their goals clearly and reviewed them regularly had 42% higher chances of achieving meaningful results compared to those who didn't put anything in writing. Now picture blending that level of clarity with the mindset taught by Carnegie, by Hill, by those who know precisely what they want and act as if it's already a done deal. But I get you. Maybe for you, defining a specific goal feels intimidating. Because the moment you do that, you make a real commitment, and suddenly the fear of falling short shows up. That's exactly why most people prefer to keep things vague, saying things like, "I want to improve my financial life," or "I just want to be happy." By staying this general, you never have to face the frustration of not making it. Yet the truth is, as long as you run from that clear definition, you remain a mere spectator in your own life. So here's what I want you to do right now. Take a sheet of paper. Don't just think about it. Write it down. 3 clear, measurable goals for the next 12 months. Something concrete, like I'm going to earn 20,000 Brazilian reais per month from my online business by next July. Or I'm going to travel to Paris in December with money I make from my work. Or I'm going to lose 10 kilograms by January by working out 4 times a week and keeping my diet in check. Be ruthlessly specific. Because your mind doesn't work with vague wishes. It needs a definite direction. And so the real question isn't, can I do it? But rather, what do I truly want? Because if it's really true that anything the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve, then it all starts with you deciding what you'll choose to conceive. And if you don't choose, someone else will choose for you. Society, your boss, the media, your friends, and they'll push you toward a life that might not even feel like yours. Today is the day to flip that switch. Because as long as you keep hiding behind excuses, comparisons, and what others expect from you, nothing changes. But the very moment you decide unshakably where you're heading and act as if it's bound to happen, everything changes. And then it becomes only a matter of time until the world bends to your will. How many times have you thought about giving up? How many times have you looked at the obstacles in your way and felt like maybe this just wasn't meant for you? That suffocating sense of looming failure, like life itself was plotting against your plans. The reality is, everyone has felt that way. The difference lies in what comes after that feeling, and the biggest illusion people buy into is thinking that winners are the ones who never fail. But if you look closely at the stories of those who truly left their mark on the world, you'll notice it's usually those who failed the most, stumbled the hardest, got rejected countless times, and felt disappointment deeply, but never allowed themselves to stop. Napoleon Hill devoted over 20 years of his life to studying what he called the psychology of success. And what did he discover? That real success is built on top of ruins left by defeats. That the most remarkable people aren't those who dodge hardships, but those who keep going when every sign around them screams to quit. He learned that from observing the life of figures like Abraham Lincoln, who, before becoming president of the United States, went through a series of failures that could have crushed anyone's spirit. Lincoln lost jobs. He lost 2 elections for Congress, suffered a nervous breakdown, witnessed the death of the love of his life, and yet he did not bend. Because Lincoln understood something that most people overlook. Defeats are not the end. They are invitations for you to discover what you are truly made of. And this pattern repeats itself. Thomas Edison failed more than 10,000 times before inventing the electric light bulb. Any ordinary person would have taken each failure as proof of incompetence. But Edison didn't see it that way. He used to say, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." Do you see the difference? For Edison, failure was simply a course correction, a valuable piece of feedback. And that is exactly what most people lack today. At the first sign of difficulty, they immediately start to wonder if they should keep going. And Hill's answer would be, there is no success without resistance. Now think with me. What about you? How many times have you abandoned something important because the circumstances didn't seem favorable? How many ideas have you let die because someone said it was too risky? And what if I told you that the success you're searching for is right after the next obstacle, and that only those who keep going that far can see it? Most people give up just a few feet from the finish line, because tiredness, doubt, and fear speak louder than the voice of conviction. But Hill used to say, it is in the hardest moments that you must pick up the pace, because it is exactly there that most people stop, and only the persistent continue. You need to decide that you will keep going, even when no one else believes, even when the result doesn't come in the time you expected, because success is not generous to the impatient. It tests, it provokes. It wants to know if you are worthy of what you asked for. And if you endure, if you keep advancing while others give up, you will inevitably achieve. Because persistence is not stubbornness, it is a sign of respect for your own dream. And look, life is going to test you. That much is certain. It will take away important things. It will delay what you planned. It will frustrate your expectations. But as Hill used to say, the greatest gift of failure is the chance to become greater than what knocked you down. Every obstacle is, in truth, an opportunity in disguise. And those who learn to see it that way become unstoppable. That is why I want to challenge you. Take that project you abandoned, that goal you thought was no longer possible, and go back. Go back knowing that each difficulty you face is another layer of strength and wisdom being built inside you. Don't expect the road to get easier. Expect yourself to get stronger. Because as history has shown, it is not the obstacles that decide who wins. It is the ability to persist. And before I finish this thought, I want you to remember one thing. Whoever doesn't have the courage to endure small defeats will never have the foundation to support a great victory. Don't look for shortcuts. Look for endurance, because it is endurance that builds the kind of person who is still standing when everyone else has already given up. And maybe, just maybe, this video reached you today precisely because it was your last chance not to give up on yourself. Have you ever noticed how life can suddenly feel heavier after spending just a few minutes scrolling through your Instagram feed? Or how discouragement creeps in when you see someone younger, with less experience, proudly showing achievements you haven't yet reached? That happens because comparison is a quiet, deceptive trap. And the real issue isn't admiring someone else's success. The issue starts when that admiration begins to define your worth, scramble your priorities, and distort your sense of time and purpose. Napoleon Hill warned about this more than 100 years ago. According to him, the greatest theft of human energy and focus happens the moment you take your eyes off your own path to measure someone else's steps. This habit of constant comparison is far more common than most people realize. Research conducted by the Royal Society for Public Health found that 84% of people reported feeling unhappy, anxious, or dissatisfied after comparing themselves on social media. And why does that happen? Because what you see there is the stage, not the backstage. You see the polished highlight without the tears, the failures, the panic attacks, and the countless sleepless nights. You end up comparing someone else's brightest moment to your own most confused hour, and that will never be fair. Napoleon Hill understood this deeply. Throughout his life, he met and interviewed hundreds of millionaires, industry leaders, and brilliant minds. He noticed that none of them wasted precious time or energy measuring themselves by someone else's results. They had the rare ability to keep their focus locked firmly on their own purpose. A brilliant example of this is Ray Kroc, the man who turned McDonald's into an empire. When Kroc discovered the modest little hamburger stand run by the McDonald brothers, he wasn't distracted by comparing it to other fast food chains of the time that already had greater fame or bigger structures. Instead, he ignored what everyone else was building and focused on seeing what nobody else could see: the potential for something enormous. While other business owners were busy competing with one another, he competed only with the vision he held inside his mind. And that choice is what made him one of the greatest entrepreneurs in history. It's essential to understand that comparison doesn't just steal your peace, It also distorts your sense of progress, because your timeline will never be identical to anyone else's. Napoleon Hill taught that every person has their own rhythm, their own cycle, and the danger begins the moment you abandon your cycle to try and squeeze yourself into someone else's timeline. You start chasing goals that were never yours to begin with. You accept challenges that have nothing to do with your personal mission. You pursue targets that weren't born from your own heart, but from society's expectations. And when you realize it, you're exhausted, frustrated, burned out, and worse, completely empty inside. The biggest evidence of this lies in the numbers. According to a study by the Harvard Business Review, people who are emotionally the most successful are those who compare themselves only to who they were yesterday. They focus on whether they are better today than they were 1 month ago. They care about whether they're getting closer to their own purpose, not someone else's. They understand that true greatness isn't about defeating others, but about overcoming who you were before. And that's a decision renewed every single day. How many times have you stopped believing in your own project just because someone else in your field achieved results before you? How many ideas have you shelved because, when comparing yourself to others, you decided you were not good enough? This is the very trap that Hill so strongly condemned. He stated that every time you get distracted by the race of others, you give away a piece of your own power, and life begins to slip through your fingers. That is why I want you to adopt a simple yet transformative exercise. For the next 7 days, whenever you feel the urge to compare yourself to someone else, take a deep breath. Write down what you are feeling, and then jot down one small thing you did better than yesterday. It could be a detail, a difficult conversation you faced, a decision you postponed but finally made, or simply the fact that you stayed focused amidst the chaos. This practice will retrain your brain to recognize real progress, not progress fabricated through the eyes of others. And it is important to remember, great victories are silent at first. The world only applauds when the trophy is in hand, but the real work happens during the hours when no one is watching. Napoleon Hill himself spent years writing Think and Grow Rich, without recognition, without prestige, without any spotlight. There were moments when he thought about giving up everything, but as he said, victory belongs to those who stand when others quit, and to keep standing you must stop looking sideways. Your only benchmark should be your previous version. Ask yourself today, am I more focused than 3 months ago? Am I closer to my goal? Am I more disciplined? If the answer is yes, even by a fraction, that is already a victory. If it is no, breathe, adjust your course, and keep going. Because in the end, as Napoleon Hill affirmed, the winner is not the fastest, but the one who does not abandon their own path, trying to run in someone else's lane. You are not here to compete, you are here to build. And the sooner you understand this, the lighter and more powerful your journey will become. Let others follow their own journeys and focus on refining yours. Because when you stop comparing yourself, you will realize that the success that once seemed so distant was never anywhere else. It has always been inside you, waiting for you to finally look at it. How many times have you had an amazing idea and thought, one day I will do this? How many opportunities have passed before you and you hesitated? And in that moment of hesitation, someone with less knowledge, fewer resources or less preparation took that action and reaped the results that could have been yours. This happens every day, because in the real world, what separates those who achieve results from those who only dream is not talent, not luck, and not even knowledge. It is action, simple, raw, often imperfect, but decisive. Napoleon Hill made this clear throughout his entire work. Knowledge only becomes power when it is applied. Otherwise, it is nothing more than accumulated information. The greatest illusion people feed themselves is the belief that they need to know everything, have all the answers, the perfect conditions, or someone's approval before starting. Meanwhile, life keeps passing by. Hill said that opportunities do not wait for those who hesitate. They introduce themselves and then move on to the next person willing to take action. This rule is as ruthless as it is fair, because at the core, everyone has the same 24 hours and equal opportunities to act when the moment arises. If you study the history of people who changed the world, you will see that none of them started when they felt fully prepared. Amelia Earhart, the first woman to fly solo across the Atlantic Ocean, had no guarantees. She did not know if she would succeed, nor if she would return alive, but she took action. And this decision to act, not just plan or wait, is what shapes the kind of person the world inevitably needs to acknowledge. And if you notice, it is not the smartest individuals who lead companies, build legacies, or revolutionize industries. It is those who have decided to break free from inertia. Here is a crucial point that few people realize. Action does not need to be perfect. It only needs to be consistent. A poorly taken step is still a step forward. A mistake made is a lesson learned. And every wrong attempt narrows the path toward the attempt that will succeed. The problem is that many expect to achieve something great on their very first try. They want the flawless plan, the impeccable execution, the immediate result. But the story of every great achiever began with small, almost insignificant steps that accumulated over time. So if you feel stuck, do not wait. Do not look for perfect motivation, the right day, or full courage. Do something today. It could be an email, a conversation, a post, a draft, but let it be action. Because as Hill said, the decision to act is the starting point of every achievement. And while you do not move, nothing moves. And here is a direct challenge. Choose one thing you know you need to do and have been postponing for weeks. Something simple, but that makes a difference. Do it today. No excuses, no more planning. Because your life only changes when your actions change. And if you do not start now, when? If not you, then who? And if not this moment, when will it be? Have you noticed that time never stops passing? So begin. Because the only way to know if it will work is by trying. And those who try, even when failing, are already light years ahead of those who only plan. The cold, hard truth is that at the end of your life, you will not be remembered for what you dreamed of doing, but for what you had the courage to carry out. And the good news is that you are still in control of that story. If you decide, right. Now to act, everything else starts to fall into place. Because the universe, as Hill said, responds to movement. And movement only exists for those who get up from their chair and decide they will no longer wait for life to happen. The key to transforming your life is not out there. It is within you. Success, fulfillment, and the freedom you seek begin the moment you decide to take control of your own story. It is not about waiting for perfect motivation, not about comparing your journey to anyone else's, and certainly not about always getting it right. It is about acting, persisting, and staying focused on what matters to you day after day. And if this made sense to you, now is the time to climb another step. The next video appearing on the screen will take you even deeper into this journey of wisdom and strong mindset. Click on it, because if today you have already become 1% better, in the next video we will double that mark. Thank you for walking with me this far. I will see you there.